What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of STORYHIVE on location Vancouver with Beats, Eats, and more. I am your host, Kazi. We're broadcasting live right now out of MOARRR Studios on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, of whom we give utmost love, respect, and honor for being the original stewards and protectors of these lands and these waters. I also want to give a big shout outs to STORYHIVE for powering today's episode. And I also want to say a big thank you to our guest for this evening. We want to welcome Brandon Wint, a poet, filmmaker, educator, and a true practitioner of the art of living. For over a decade, Brandon has been sharing his work across the world, with writing featured in the Ex Puritan event magazine, Arc Poetry magazine, and more, and films screened at DOXA, Reelworld, and the Vancouver International Film Festival Center. His work doesn't just ask us to listen, it invites us to feel, reflect, and come a little closer to ourselves and each other, using poetry as a bridge between the seen and unseen, the human and the divine. Y'all give it up for Brandon Wint. Big audience. Everyone in the world tuning in.
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling on this very rainy day, 5 out of 5 rainy days in a row?
Yeah, I was saying to Josh as we were walking into the studio that I'm grateful for like every day of rain coming from Ontario as I do, having lived in Edmonton as I did for 5 years. The notion of like a Vancouver winter is very, very livable to me. I'm like, I can do anything in the rain. I don't use umbrellas. I just like, I'm like, if water is going to fall from the sky in multitudes, I just accept that I will be wet and it'll be what it'll be. And so yeah, rain is cool. I'm happy with it. Yeah.
You know what soundtrack just came into my head?
What's that?
Remember Hilary Duff?
I never listened to the music.
I don't even know the words after that. I just know that first line.
See, like that area of millennial core, I missed that. I wasn't there for that.
It's okay. You weren't missing much. But I just heard actually Hilary Duff came back, with an album.
She's back.
Which
I know
is
this.
wild.
I know this. And I've listened to not 1 second of
Neither will I.
Okay.
I'm
No
okay on that.
No disrespect. Hillary, if you're listening, no disrespect.
Yeah, I'm more on the Jill Scott newest album tip right now.
Yep, that's a good one.
She's poetry.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to like, I'm like, are we doing the interview?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is part of it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Like I can feel her spoken word background in the nature of her songwriting because like her songs have structure, but they kind of like fall in and out of conventional structure because they want to be so talky, so conversational sometimes, And so and so that's been an interesting thing listening to that album. You're like, oh, I see the poet in you, like beyond the words, even like the manner of delivery has a little bit of spoken word tinge to it. So I'm like, cool. Yeah.
Well, she's definitely an artist I'm celebrating in terms of like releasing something after like 20 years, Well, Brandon, we first met 2022. You, along with Fanny, which is when I met Fanny Kierce as well, shout outs, for the first time during Winter Arts Fest. And y'all were doing a poetry thing.
Oh.
Stacey Ann Chin was the special guest who came in. And is this memory coming back to you?
I wasn't there that day, was I?
Brandon, you were there. I remember.
I apparently I do.
It's okay. You're busy. You're performing everywhere and doing all the things. But I remember you and you sharing your poetry and also being introduced for the first time because I had just gotten back from living in Mexico for a while. And so I was being reintroduced to the creative community and what emerged, I guess, during COVID and a little bit before. Anyway, that was the first time that I witnessed you. And then I heard a lot about you through Fanny and seeing, the Glimmers project that you're a part of as well, which was amazing. And so it was all quite serendipitous to end up running into you at an Infidels Jazz show and then coming up to you. And at that point, I'm like, I just took in so much of your material recently, but you know, kind of like a fan effect where you're like, who are you? Have we met? And I'm like, actually, I feel like I've just seen so much of you, but you've been on my list of someone who I want to sit down with because
great.
I feel like from what I've heard in your interviews, but also through your poetry, that you're just a real one, dude.
Thank you.
And that was very much so reflected in the conversation we had outside of the club of like, oh, we got real for a second just on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I I go to a lot of shows, both like for my life and for my living, by which I mean like in my professional capacity, I feel like I have to be around arts, but also just for the love. And one of the most like soft, excruciating feelings that I experience is like going to a show alone, as I often do, and then like having no one to talk to about the show afterwards. It's like, especially if the show is good, it's like a little bit painful to me to not be able to like exchange something with someone after the show. And so that show went well. I was grateful. And so yeah, I was happy to see you because I was like, oh yeah, a real conversation is like precisely what I needed in that moment. So yeah, and now we're here. So
I love that. Well, I want to start from beginnings. Before poetry became your path, what were you like as a kid creatively?
Oh, I mean, I think I've been blessed in the way that poetry has also always been part of the path. Like, those who knew me as a 12-year-old would not be surprised to find out that like I'm, you know, making my life writing and speaking these days. I would say in my early adolescence, in my childhood, probably sports took up more space than my creativity did. So like, I was watching a lot of basketball and hockey and basically everything that I could get my hands or eyes on. And then before the notion of spoken word was ever a thing, like I knew my gifts were bound in like my ability to write and speak. Like I was always kind of affirmed as someone who's like, oh, like he's articulate, or he's a good writer, or he communicates well. And so I thought that particular aptitude was going to take the form of being a broadcaster on some level. So like I wanted to be a sports commentator. So
oh my gosh.
I guess in my earliest days, I have memories of like watching sports, but then muting the TV and sort of like commentating the game myself, kind of like practicing for what I thought was going to be my future profession, I guess, which is a kind of spoken word.
Yeah. Such can still happen later in life. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little, you know, educationally, I'm a little behind, but I would love to be a broadcaster still, you know, and so I'm intrigued even like to be in a podcast space because there's a part of me that either wishes I was or like is aspiring still to be a broadcaster of a certain kind. So yeah. Otherwise, creatively, I was just like a sensitive kid scribbling in his journal a lot, you know, writing poems that were sort of accented by my love of hip hop, you know, writing bad rhymes, freestyling in the shower quite often, you know. So like all the pieces were there. I didn't know that they were gonna coalesce in like quite this way, but yeah, I was a quietly creative kid the whole time.
So then how did they coalesce? How did you first get pulled into it?
Yeah, so I went to Carleton University in Ottawa from 2006 to 2011. And so in my second year, I was just bored on campus one day, watching like Def Poetry Jam on YouTube when like YouTube was still like a fairly new thing, and like the notion that I could like even watch poetry on the internet was like, oh, anyway. So that habit of mine sort of sparked the curiosity around like, oh, it's the capital of Canada, there must be poetry somewhere. And at that time they were doing elections for the student government at Carleton. And I just went to the most popular looking black person I could find, and I was like, hey, Kweku, do you know do you know where I can find poetry? And he so happened to have a friend named Comey, who's like since become a friend of mine, of course, who was like into the poetry scene. He gave me Comey's email. I sent Comey a poem. Comey was like, "Oh, this is amazing," and like that was sort of my intro into like not only because like I'd been writing poems my whole life, but that was maybe the first time someone who was like performing poetry or like someone connected to a poetry community said like your talent is credentialed enough for you to like be in this space with us. And so there was a monthly slam that happened on Saturday nights, and I was a regular ever since. And yeah, won a few slams. Like it's a long story. I won't say every detail, but yeah. In Ottawa at that time, the scene for whatever reason was growing in such a way that there were a lot of young black men popping up, and so like we sort of formed like a critical mass, and so there was a way that I already felt welcome because like half the people who were stepping on stage looked like me and were like of a similar age to me, and so yeah, I did my little poems. People enjoyed them. I said, I shall continue, and I've continued.
Oh my gosh, what was that first moment of performing and sharing one of your poems for the first time like?
Yeah, you know, you and I are the same age, so I'm gonna say some like millennial things, and hopefully folks. So do you remember like AIM or like MSN?
So, yes.
Yeah. So I was quite often like sharing the little poems that I had written with like, folks on these instant messaging platforms, and so in that way, I had some peers who were like, "Oh, Brandon, your poems are good," and so like I never had any doubt around whether my poems were like good enough. Of course, like looking back, I wouldn't say like, "Oh, those poems were like great" from the standpoint of today, but like at the time, I was like, "Oh, these are solid. These are worth sharing. I've been sharing them for years," and so yeah, being on stage. I wasn't daunted by it, but it felt important. Like, in terms of harnessing my subjectivity, like my upbringing was like quite suburban, quiet, sheltered. Didn't involve a lot of like risk taking, and so like I would say the act of performing poetry for the first time and like developing an artistic practice around standing on stage and using my voice and like basically filling rooms with my energy was life-changing. And I would say then that like those first few moments of being on stage, I caught an inkling that like, oh, like this is gonna change my life. Like just because I knew that practice was going to like, yeah, just fortify me as a human being in ways that I never had access to before. And so, yeah.
Ooh, you know, that kind of brought up for me the first time that I emceed something, and that was Vancouver Street Dance Festival back in 2016. Prior to that, technically I had emceed, but it's one of those things that it happened in childhood and you forget. And then only now when you look back and you're like, oh, now this trajectory actually makes sense, much like you just said. But it was that feeling where I was like, okay, I've never spoken and hosted for thousands of people in this public space of Robson Square. And to do that for the first time and take the risk, as you said, it was like, then I felt in myself, where I was like, oh, actually this, for whatever reason, feels actually quite natural to my state of being and how I can express and also like communicate on behalf of the community I'm part of to this new community that we're bridging, you know?
Am I allowed to ask you a question?
Of course. This is a conversation.
I mean, you got your
not a deposition.
I mean, you got your clipboard, so I'm like, hey, man, there's a procedure happening.
There's a procedure. Let's check boxes.
Yeah. What did you learn about yourself in the moment where you understood maybe for the first time, like, oh, I can and should do this thing, like, yeah. Yeah, what did you learn about yourself in that moment? Or like, what helped convince you that you were in the right place doing the right thing at that time?
I think it was just like this feeling of like the crowd became one big unanimous energy that when I spoke to or engaged with or got them like hype, they responded as one back. And it created this relationship, and it was so easy to mold. And that felt like a synchronistic relationship, symbiotic relationship that was taking place. And that like I wasn't overly thinking about anything other than being present to the moment and being excited because I was emceeing a battle, a street dance battle. And prior to this, I was the person in the corner yelling and screaming my face off, cheering for my friends, my homies. And this time around, someone thought it would be a good idea to give me the mic and do that on the mic and give not just the dancers that energy, but getting the crowd hype. And so I think what I learned about myself is that this is something that comes very natural to me, and that I don't know. I think that holding space, facilitating space, much like here, much like now, surprise, surprise, it's actually something that's been in me since I was young.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. Thanks for that question.
You're so welcome. Yeah.
I'm curious about, you know, the teachers and the elders and the artists who helped shape your voice early on.
So yeah, at Carleton University, I was an English major, and so in my first year, mostly what I encountered was, I guess, what is typical or was typical of that time, which is to say, like, a lot of dead British and Scottish and Irish poets, you know, which is fine, you know. I respect I respect that, but but I think sometime in my second year in a Canadian poetry course, I was introduced to the work of Dionne Brand, and Dionne Brand has spent most of her life in Toronto, but is originally from Trinidad and Tobago. And the story I always tell is, first, like, it was presented to me, her work was presented to me in class, and then after class I went directly to the library and took out like 4 or 5 of her books and just was like reading for pleasure, which was not something that I had time or motivation to do very much of in my undergrad. And it was because there was something about the way she was using rhythm in her poetics that made me hear the sea, you know? And so, like, my mom is from Barbados, my dad is from Jamaica. I wasn't raised in the Caribbean, but I was raised by people who were raised in the Caribbean. And so, like, yeah, the way that I've been framing it is like there was something in my blood memory that she aroused, or something in like the particular song, something in like, it could have been like the melody or like the linguistic register that she was using was speaking to me on a cultural, ancestral level. And so that, in combination with those like early forays into spoken word, gave me a sense of like, oh, there's space for me to be a writer, and I can be that authentically. I can be, you know, a Black person from Ontario, and I can write about my family or write about my subjectivity or like write for my positionality in an authentic way, and it can be respected, it can be literary, it can be celebrated, and outside of the pages of books, there are whole communities that are willing to listen by virtue of like my connection to spoken word. And so, yeah, Dionne Brand was like the first person who gave me a sense of like, okay, there are no necessary boundaries for me. If what I say I love is to write and speak, you know, I can do that. So yeah, that was the beginning. And then I'll mention my peer, my brother Ikenna, who in spoken word terms, he went by the stage name of Open Secret. So I had mentioned that like my upbringing was like quite sheltered and quite quiet and yeah, you know, not very risk taking. And so I think yeah, what happened was I won my first slam, and like in my early 20s, I was very afraid of becoming arrogant because I don't know if you had a similar experience with the emceeing. It's like when you find yourself doing something that accords with your aptitudes so strongly and you're getting affirmed for it, it's like, oh, like, you know, I felt very powerful.
Yeah. I called that getting drunk on the mic.
Yeah.
I was like, the mic is making me feel drunk with power.
Exactly. And so like, because that feeling was like very intoxicating and very new, I thought it was going to like crush me. I thought like, oh my God, if I have to wield this power responsibly, I'm going to like crumble under the weight of it. And I remember winning my first slam, which at that time meant like that was the most affirmation I'd ever gotten, because it's like they told me I was the best. Yeah, I'm the winner. I won, you know. And I had never really won anything for poetry at that moment. And I remember walking from the venue to the bus stop, and he kind of walked with me, and I was telling him like, "Oh my God," and like it feels so quaint now. It's like, oh, he won a little slam, and he's worried he's gonna like self-destruct or whatever. But
or his ego's just gonna blow up.
Yeah. It feels frivolous now to even think about it. But he was like, "Oh, don't be afraid to be great. Like each one of us has like an innate greatness, and like we have some responsibility to investigate our capacity for greatness, or like tap into like whatever our gift is. And if you're being shown that this is a window into your potential for greatness, just like, you know, dive into that and get comfortable with it. Like it's not gonna hurt you. Like it can only enrich you." And like that was really important for me to hear. And I'm not sitting here today telling you like, oh, I'm great. I've climbed to the top of any particular mountain, but I needed to understand the relationship between ego and purpose in order to continue to be a public-facing sort of artist. Because I think, what I often say is that like my ego needs to be quite large in order to sustain what it is that I do. So like I've been a full-time professional artist almost exclusively for the last 15 years. And so like to be able to do that means the willingness to like self-promote, to be able to say over and over and over, I have prepared an offering and it's like worth your time and attention, you know? When you introduce me, or when a host at a show says my name and reads my bio, I have to be able to say, yeah, that is me, you know? And it's okay. It's okay that I'm going to be the only person speaking in this room for the next half hour, which is like quite a privileged position to be in. And so like my ego is quite large, but not larger than my desire to love, not larger than my notion of God, not larger than my love for my family, or my orientation to like wanting to be good for the sake of my ancestors, you know? So all of these things are purposes that are larger than my ego. And so at this moment, I don't fear that like I'm going to become arrogant, because I feel like the role that poetry and the role that my gifts serve in my life, those things are larger than the gratification of like, please tell me I'm a good poet, you know, so.
Did you arrive to this right away?
Oh, absolutely not, no.
You know, was that a journey in and of itself, or sometimes there were those moments where like, I'm doing this not for like a more noble purpose, but my ego is, it's, we're dancing the line.
Yeah, so I think if I can remember, I'll answer that question in two ways. So The first thing that came to mind is, so I've been a professional poet since maybe like 2010, and then a full-time professional since 2011 or so. And so the way that my artistic practices are now enmeshed with capitalist necessities, like the way that like I have to, or I feel like I have to show the world that I'm working, so that they will think of me when they're like, oh, we need to pay a poet to do something. We need to pay someone to conduct or facilitate a workshop. And so it's not that those things are making me arrogant, but it means that like, yeah, it warps the relationship that my ego has to the poetic work, because there's the part of me that needs to be a poet in order to survive on a spiritual level. Like I need to be making sense of the many meanings that are available to me in any given day, like the many conclusions that I can draw from being here in this moment. Like, you know, there's
the human experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's part of me that's like inherently a poet, but now I've become so used to being a poet also in like the public facing sense that sometimes those two things get conflated in a way that creates tension in me, where it's like, it's not that I can only write a poem if there's a project attached, but I've become very comfortable of like the distance between like, oh, I'm writing this poem because it satisfies some spiritual desire that I have, and I'm writing this poem because I need to find a way to turn my every gift into a product that is discernible and marketable and valuable enough that I can like afford to buy the breakfast sandwich that I'm going to eat tomorrow. That distance has become uncomfortably close. Those two things have become uncomfortably close to each other. And so there's a lot of ego in that, you know, because I have no other job at the moment. I'm looking for a job. If anybody out there is looking to hire someone, I'm
Me too.
I'm
We're
in the
all
market.
looking for jobs. So expensive here. We all need jobs. More jobs.
It's true. Yeah. So like, there's a part of me that feels like a capitalistic pressure to say like, oh, I need to write every day because, like, you know, the notion of like time is money. If I'm using all this time, I need to devote some of it to like the thing that I do to make money, which is, you know, write and speak poems. But then it's also like, well, I'm a human being and I need to write this poem. I need to write poems every day to like keep my heart soft, or to express my devotion to life, you know, through the gift that I have, which is writing and feeling poems, you know. And so, yeah, I'm always sort of doing that dance. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you on that. And just like the current times that we're in and the things that we have to do, and there's like a purity, I think, in what we've lived in previous decades before, you know, we had to be our own self-marketers and we had smartphones. This is a total complete side tangent, but I think you'd appreciate this. I got a flip phone this week.
Congrats.
And that was all spurred because of I was watching a lot of shows that took place in the 90s, and I was just remembering this era where it was like we got so these things that are now considered inconvenient was just normal.
Right.
Like, you know, just sitting and waiting and not scrolling and killing time. Like you just sat and you waited, and that was okay. It wasn't inconvenient. It was normal. Or like you couldn't look up on your phone where to go on Google Maps, or look up a review to suss out if that restaurant is good enough to go and peep your head in and check out the menu. Like you literally went up to someone, asked for directions, and you went into the restaurant and you checked out the menu. It was just simple, you know? And so anyway, I just started to realize how integrated my life has become with this smartphone that is literally helping me with every single thing. And I invented what is my version of a tech detox, which is to use the flip phone and to get an agenda and start writing things down in my regular calendar again. You know, I already document things through like analog, like I've always been a big fan of taking photos on film, but on top of that is like getting an alarm clock, which is that clock right there, as you see. So I don't rely on my phone first thing in the morning. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I've gone on a tangent now about my tech detox, but all this to say is that it's brought me back to a more present way of being that I feel like I really missed. And that like the other day when I was on the train, I was just counting how many people were on their phones. Meanwhile, I was on my flip phone. And I'm like so excited for anyone to message me. And then I'm like, oh man, T9 is taking forever. My message answers are just short, you know? But how does this relate to what you were talking about?
Oh, it's okay. I'll bring us back.
Yeah.
Help me. No, just in the sense that like I feel like that's part of the value of poetry for me is that like there's no way to write a poem unless you're willing to be or aspiring towards presence, you know. And so like this is also why I endeavor to write every day. So like not just from that capitalist tension or pressure, but to sort of like rescue myself from the sort of false urgency that my laptop creates or that social media creates. And so like writing poetry is like my analog way of spending time with the world. Like so I can't, not that I can't, but like I'm not one who's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna like walk for an hour to, you know, spend time with nature. But like in the world of trying to create a poem, in organizing my apprehensions of the world that day, in trying to create a relationship where my subconscious becomes discernible or obvious to my conscious mind, all of those things require a presence that is sort of antithetical to the crackle of my smartphone. And like these days especially, I need that time away. So we're on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. And you've brought me back now in remembering that like there's a remembrance of that time and that era and way of being that I want to bring back into my life. And honestly, a lot of this was also inspired by connecting more with Fanny and the community that is around Fanny. Like when I saw you last week at the Glimmers reunion at the Vancouver Public Library, I also met Fee, and Fee invited me to their to their writing club that happens on Tuesdays. And I'm like, bring me back here. I like this. The practice of the pen and the paper all over again, and how like I'm worried about all of our brains, like the data. There's not enough data yet because we've never lived with this much technology yet. But like 20 years from now, what kind of things are gonna go on that, you know, we don't know about yet? And like I feel like the only way to keep this going is to tap back to these ways of being that brings us back to presence, that keeps our mind sharp and keeps our mind just attentive and healthy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I have so much. Can I say more?
Of course.
Yeah.
I love how you're asking for permission.
Just because, you know, it's like, oh, next question.
No, we're in a container of presence here.
We're just here. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Away with these questions.
Yeah, all right. No, because I was having brunch with a friend today, and I was talking to him about how because I do not have the kind of endurance that allows me to be like a content creator or like, not to like stratify or create some sort of hierarchy, but like, I'm just like more of an artist than I am a content creator. But it feels increasingly like to be an artist, you have to be a content creator, or there's some notion that like, in order to make your artistic career financially viable,
Yup.
you have to be like entertaining an audience or growing an audience at
Yup.
all times. And so I was just talking to my friend about like, oh, these days I'm asking myself the question of like, oh, how would I do this if it was like 1997? You know, like how would I promote this show in a way that in its sensibility predates the social media era? And it's not even about eschewing or like casting off social media entirely, but it's a reminder for me that like the magic happens when we're in the same room together. So like, you know, how many ways can I create space for us to gather and create intention or attentiveness around whatever's happening in a human way on stage or in the audience. And like, I feel like I enjoy that more than like incessantly posting or like trying to think about, okay, how am I going to be interesting to folks in Portland so that I can like one day tour over there. I'm like, I was talking to my friend Faven Kadani.
Yo, shout outs to Faven.
For real. I don't know. It was months ago. We were having some sort of conversation, and the notion of like becoming locally beloved came up. I think it's because Faven was talking about how they mistrust the notion of fame in a way. Because I think I was like, oh, you're a star. You could be doing. I mean, they are doing 100 things, but they could be whoever they want to be. I was like, oh, and they're like, oh, I don't really trust the notion of like fame or stardom. I'm just trying to be locally beloved. And I was like, oh, I like that. Because it's also like more sustainable for my life, you know. Because I need to connect with people. I need non-capitalistic avenues to friendship and connection, and I need to practice intimacies that aren't mediated by technology in these ways. Oh. And I think my artistry and like whatever I've learned about how to perform well or you know, share my energy with an audience, those skills are the most refined tools that I have for broadly nurturing intimacies, you know. And so I'm like, yeah, let me just get the people in the room and like whatever my poetry or the combination of my poetry and my charisma, whatever it might be, those are the tools that I have. But it's really just about creating spaces where I can look folks in the eye and like say something honest, and then prompt or invite folks to say something honest to me, and then it's like, okay, if we continue that, you know, perhaps there's love to be made, you know?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the real meat and juice of life. Mm-hmm. I relate to this because even through this show and this platform, you know, they be calling us content creators, and I like kind of giggle because I'm like, I'm not trying to be a content creator. What does that mean? Creating more content for the consumption, you know? And that's where I started to really shift. Like, I see this more as building an archive of the stories of creatives in Van City in this very specific moment in time from 2023 to now 2026, going 4 seasons, 125 or 126, gotta recount that, interviews at this time. And like, I am not good at posting a clip afterwards to try to get the hits and direct the traffic and all of that. I'm like, I don't have the capacity or wherewithal to do any of that. But what I have the capacity for is to prepare for this moment, to sit here and create a container where a conversation could be had. And I actually get to go deeper with people. Some of them I've known for 10 plus years in the community, but we only see each other at community events that we don't get to go deeper, you know? And that's what matters more to me. And it's funny that, like, I feel you on this. The things that we have to do in order to survive in this capitalist world, and, you know, the balance of what we have to do without fully selling, I don't want to say selling our souls, but like feeling like a little bit of us is just like dimming in the act of trying to fit into the ways of which things are being done in today's ways of marketing or getting a job, etc., etc. And I don't know, I found it a sign that I couldn't get on LinkedIn. I've been trying to get an account on LinkedIn, but because my professional name is my artist name, they've rejected me. And I spent weeks trying to get back on it. And then I became convinced. I was like, you know what? This might be a sign from the universe. I'm not meant to make professional contacts through this platform and trying to fit in the way. Like, I think it's about people meeting me in the room and experiencing my energy, hearing about whatever it is that I can offer, and that we can, like I was saying to you before we started, I'm trying to find opportunities that align with who I am and what I want to create in this world, and design experiences that mean something, you know?
Interesting. Interesting.
I love where this is going. What kinds of experiences tend to crack you open creatively?
Ooh. Crack me open. Crack me open. Ooh. Any moment of like unabashed joy. Yeah, just like expressiveness that's oriented toward love or positivity. I really enjoy how easily I can be brought to tears. Which is also a way of saying, like, it is not uncommon for me to like stumble across like a sports highlight and see somebody hit the game-winning shot or score the game-winning goal, and even if I have no context, even if I don't know who's involved or what game they won, I will weep with them. I will cry just because, like, that the moment of exuberance, the way that joy is like shared, the way that often it's like grown men who are not framed in such a way as to like often have opportunities to be like exuberantly joyful, to like see how much it means to the crowd. Like, I can be broken open that way.
I love that.
There was maybe like 4 nights ago, I encountered like a slug just underneath my front door, and I ushered the slug out of the house as gently as I could, and then last night he was back in the same curled up, you know, just like curled like a.
Like, I was trying to be your friend. You didn't need to usher me out.
Well, I didn't know, like, I felt like I had to do it again, but I was like, part of me was like excited to see you. I was like, oh, I respect that you came back. I was like, oh, you made it back. That's cool. We're friends. I'm still gonna put you outside, but I'm gonna be kind to you. I won't say that broke me open, but like, to be a poet is to be gathering meaning and making inferences all the time in these ways. And so, like, also because the sort of the pressure of capitalism as it exerts itself in this city, because this city is like more expensive than most places, I think it breeds a kind of, if not loneliness, a kind of commonplace isolation. And so it can be hard to gather with friends because all your friends are like, oh, I gotta work, or like I don't have time to like just chill in a way that like is not appointment driven. You know, it's like, oh, I got these 2 hours, but you know, so all of that is to say, poetry has become one of the most reliable ways that I can create intimacy and presence, even in the presence of non-humans. And so like, in a certain way, I can be broken open by the conversations that the crows are having in the middle of the street. If like someone spills food or like trash in the middle of the street, there's a particular robin that I see in my backyard quite often. I'm just like, hey, buddy, you know, like all, all these things, like they don't make me weep, but they are the things from which or with which I'm building a world. And I'll say, I have two friends who are filmmakers. I'm also a filmmaker, but really I'm a poet at heart. And the nature of the film that they're making, they feel like they can't appropriately broach the sort of emotional heart of the film without poetry. And so I'm facilitating workshops with both of them, so that they can like feel more comfortable writing poetry, and like just watching them learn to trust that they have the heart for it is like, yeah, that's broken me open, where it's like, oh, like I can say what I mean, and like poetry can be the conduit for that. I can talk about my family in a way that like, yeah, I would say poems have broken me open lately, but also like watching people learn about themselves through the space that poetry offers them has been really humbling. And yeah.
That's beautiful. Lately, I've been noticing on your Instagram the little status updates. And you've talked a lot about love, you know, you talked about unrequited love. You've also mentioned in some interviews before that you consider yourself a hopeless romantic. I'm super curious, especially as a poet, you know, in the day and age of Tinder and Hinge and swiping right, and like what it's like to date. Like, what does being a hopeless romantic mean and look like to you? And do you think our generation has a problem with commitment?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I think, I don't know, it's like a chicken or the egg situation. I don't know if I'm a glutton for intimacy because I'm a poet, or if I'm a poet because I'm a glutton for intimacy. But anyway,
Probably both.
yeah, probably, yeah. They're talking to each other all the time. But yeah, I just love intimacies because I learn so much from them, and often like, you know, I feel like, not to get on a soapbox again, but like, I feel like Instagram is like a self-help machine. Like everyone's kind of telling you how to build yourself and how to think in a way that like produces more clarity or more this or more that. You can be more of whatever. But there's a way that I'm only able to really learn about myself through the mirror constituted by another person. By the thing that happens when I'm in another person's presence long enough that like we mutually start to reveal ourselves to each other, and then like in that other person's eyes I get to like see myself in ways that I couldn't have seen myself if I was just like sitting alone in that room. And so like that's why I talk about love so much, is because I'm like ceaselessly curious about the nature of the human condition. But the only way to really study that condition faithfully is in the presence of other human beings. And it is hard it is, at least in my life lately, it's been like quite rare to be like present with folks long enough for the veneer to like fall off, such that like, oh, we're just like, we're able to like see each other. And so yeah, I think I crave I crave that. And then for me, unrequited loves, like there's no such, well, I won't say there's no such thing, but like that particular status that you saw on Instagram, it's not so much about whether the love is requited or unrequited. It's more just that like any inkling of love is like so energizing that it furnishes like 17 poems. And so like I don't need necessarily to like fall deeply in love with everybody that I encounter, but like even a meaningful crush can carry me for some weeks, can push me toward a new project or an EP, or like make me see the world in sharper color, So I'm interested in that for myself and for other people. I don't know. So like, this might be like a hot take, or I might be like exposing myself in some ways, but like, I'm not a person, like I love and I want to connect with people romantically and unromantically in authentic ways. But I'm not someone who like calls anything that I do a date. Like I don't go on dates, because my general sense, and like you can tell me if I'm wrong, or any of your viewers or listeners can tell me if they disagree, but like often if I call something a date, my sense is that like both people have like a script of how like, okay, if it's a date, then that means like the expectation is this.
Right.
Okay, I'm gendered in this way, this other person is gendered in this way. According to the gendered script, we're supposed to like unfold in this way, and if this person doesn't like, meet the gendered scripted expectations, then we can't connect, yada, 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 yada.
Yep.
And I generally find that scriptedness to be a waste of time, or a hindrance to like the sort of authentic intimacy that I like to try to unfold with folks.
Absolutely.
And so like I can't really answer the question about commitment or Tinder or any of that. But I do like a good slow unfolding. But like, yeah, I think our culture is not one that like makes a lot of space, or allows a lot of space for things to unfold slowly. So.
Woo!
So.
All of this, it's so true, and it comes and stems from the social conditioning rooted in like, I mean, if we're talking about our generation of what we grew up in, and R&B and hip hop love songs and TV shows, and exactly that, the scripted expectation of how we go about things, and if they aren't doing this, then that must mean they don't XYZ, or that they do XYZ, versus like, I often think about, if we never got conditioned and gendered in all these ways, this like unfolding of just being curious, being open, being like tickled by just just things that you find attractive or beautiful about another person, and getting to know another person. And so yeah, that I realize now in my question of like, does our generation have a problem with commitment? It's like, it depends on what lens you're viewing like romance and dating, right? And that you're right, like in today's day and age, and the way that we're going about things, like I guess I was thinking about that question more from the sense of this idea that we think that there's always going to be something better. Therefore, there isn't a taking time to really just like let things actually slowly unfold in their own timing,
It's interesting. I know we're like coming to the end of our time, but it feels like, you've opened a large box, and I'm trying to like find all the treasure in there.
Yeah.
We maybe should have started here.
Yeah.
Anyway, did I lose the thought? Oh, it's just that my understanding of love is just that like love is just like understanding plus patience, or patience plus understanding. So like even if I don't like someone, even if I am not inclined to like unfold with them romantically in like a partnered way, if I have taken the time to like bear witness to their humanity such that I can understand them, then I can love them, you know. And if at the end of deciding that I love this person, I still have like patience for them to like watch them continue to unfold, continue to change and grow as a human being, then like that love can sustain itself for quite a long time, even if it like takes different sort of social shapes, you know. And so you know, I don't know if I've ever called myself a hopeless romantic. I trust you. If you say you heard me say it, then I must have said it. But okay. But I guess that is the romantic part of me, is that I'm really someone who enjoys bearing witness to other people's humanity, and like the act of choosing love is like an education to me. You know, it's like, oh, this is the means by which I learn how to be human in a more deep way. And so almost everything that I do, so like in the form of like the way that I perform, these little questions that I might ask on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, they're almost always invitations for people to like they're invitations to presence, so that a slow unfolding can take place. And then some people are like, yeah, let's do it, and other people are like, I don't know how to do it, or I don't want to, or not with you, and that's cool too. But I'm always making invitations, because like, yeah, there's nothing more thrilling than the combination of love and patience. Yeah.
My heart's so warm. I'm going to ask you, and this is kind of my final question to this portion, is what feels like it's evolving in you as an artist? What are you currently exploring and questioning?
Oh, man. Again, so like, because I need a job, there's like a little bit of that. So like the relationship of creativity to money, or like whatever ideas I have around like what it means to be a professional artist is one. I would say like on a deeper level, the modes of violence that I'm bearing witness to in this era of human history are not ones that I anticipated that I would see. So like, you know, like coalescing genocides, and then like in the social media era, we're able to like bear witness to these violences and everybody's opinions about the nature of these violences pretty much incessantly. And so it creates different kinds of questions or urgencies around, you know, the sort of classic question of like, oh, what is the role of the artist in you know,
these times?
Yeah, nurturing revolutionary consciousness, or creating more love, or more room for healing. And so yeah, I think the questions around not like, is it enough to just write a poem? Because I think I have the answer to that one. Like it's not enough just to write a poem. But then therefore, like, where do I situate myself such that I can do the kind of good that I want to be able to do, given the enormity and sort of unrelenting nature of our species' capacity for cruelty. You know, like where do I situate myself to kind of solve or reckon with these problems in a collective way, and then write the poems on the basis of the things that I learned from those conversations with other people. Those are the things that are like exerting the most force on me right now as a poet and human.
That's big. Well, Brandon, can't let you get away without a fun rapid fire round.
Okay.
You know, this is short answers.
Sure.
Quick first thing that comes to your mind. Let's take a deep breath. A question you wish people asked you more often.
That's a question I ask people. Anyway.
Really? That's a question you ask others?
Just what do you need? What do you need? And then like waiting for the answer. Yeah.
A poet you come back to time and time again.
The crows outside my house and Araceli's Goodbye.
Favorite pen and notebook of choice.
I don't have favorites as long as they do what I paid them to do. It's fine. Yeah, I'm not particular in that way. Yeah.
I love that. That's so funny. Fanny's answer was so immediate. Like they knew right away what kind of pen.
No,
but I like that. You're not choosy. Beverage of choice when sitting down to write.
Herbal teas. So peppermint, chamomile. There's a combination of like, it's like the combination of the heat and like the way steeping tea like slowly changes color. That feels poetic to me. And I'm also like someone who was into like chakras a lot when I was younger. So it's like, the color of this tea corresponds with my sacral chakra. And
Okay, we go for chakras, tea chakras. Which is perfect because we had mint tea, green tea, and green is for the heart. This I know.
Yes.
Silence or music when writing? And if music, what are we listening to?
Silence always. I can't. Not that I can't. I don't write well to music because when I listen to music, I'm with the music, and it's hard to be with the music and with myself at the same time.
Favorite place you've performed? So many.
Yeah, there's no. Lately, I'll just say like my favorite. I think it was Indian Summer Festival. Indian Summer Festival at one of the. I think it was St. Elizabeth Theater or like one of those theaters downtown. That show was quite nice, and then
at the Queen Elizabeth Theater.
I think it was.
That's big.
Or no, like. Yeah. If it wasn't that one, it was like one of like they're owned by the same one of those civic theaters.
Got it.
I don't remember which one. And then there was a show in Victoria where folks were like quite receptive to what I had to say, and we laughed a lot together. I like that show.
I love that. A word you love the sound of.
This is a good question. I like the French word for apricot. So apricot.
Apricot?
Yeah, I just like I like the musicality.
Apricot.
Yeah, I like the musicality of that. I was watching a podcast yesterday, and somebody used the word rejoinder.
Oh.
And I enjoyed that one.
What does that mean? Rejoinder?
Just a response or a reply.
Oh.
Yeah. You know.
How would you use that in a sentence? He sent a rejoinder or something like this?
Kazi asked many wonderful questions, and Brandon had an hour's worth of interesting rejoinders.
This is true. Ever regret publishing something too honest?
No. Not yet. But I know this is rapid fire, so I don't know if I'm allowed to expound. But my grandfather passed last week, and I was finding myself uncomfortable with how quickly I moved to turn those feelings into poetry. Yeah, yeah. Because like every time my heart breaks, I'm a little bit happy, or like I'm a little bit grateful for it, because I think the only real human pain is confusion. And so whenever I'm not confused about why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, I'm actually like quite grateful. And then it can make me like quite expressive. It's like, I am utterly devastated, but I know why. And that can be like quite a relief. But like, given everything that we were just talking about, in terms of like rushing to turn every feeling into poetry and then poems into products, I was like, oh, actually, I have to just like sit with these feelings. Like it's not about turning my grief into an essay right now, or thinking about how the tenderness I feel in my heart for my grandfather like fits with the theme of the next album that I'm conjuring, you know? And so like, that's not a regret, but it's like, yeah, I felt a little bit icky in that moment of like, oh, I'm rushing. My grandfather deserves a different kind of patience right now. Yeah.
Brandon!
I mean, it's just the truth.
I know, but like, just the way that you express and explain yourself, it really, I've been feeling tender today.
Okay. Thanks for saying so, yeah.
And this conversation I knew I could show up for.
Cool.
And I knew that your words would hold me, even though we're not even talking about why I feel tender today.
Yeah,
it's just, I'm just a human being existing. And so, yeah, I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your presence being here, exchanging with us. I love that this conversation, I mean, I never know fully wherever our conversation goes on this show. I love to make room for what feels juicy and alive in the moment and following that trail. And I love that it led us here.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so I'm going to end with the not so rapid fire.
Okay. All good.
It was awesome.
Thank
it
you,
was so awesome to sit down with you,
likewise.
to get to know you more, but also to hear about where your heart is at in these times and what you're thinking about, and like how your brain and your heart moves as a poet in this world and in these times. It's refreshing. Actually,
Thank you.
I would love to take a workshop. I would love to take. Oh, we've got another one over here too.
Okay.
You want to take a workshop?
Cool. You are invited. I will invite you on the internet.
So amazing, y'all. This is Brandon Wint. You could find him on the Instagrams. Now we're doing the plugs, the capitalist plugs. But actually, no. For if you want to be inspired, if you want to hear some poetry, if you want to connect back to your humanness, at Brandon Wint Poet, correct?
Yep.
I'm Kazi. Thank you everyone who's tuned in on the live stream, everyone who's tuned in on the replay. We appreciate you. Also want to give a big shout outs to MOARRR Studio for hosting and partnering with us on the show. Big shout outs to STORYHIVE. Anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah, my grandfather, my sweet grandmother. My grandmother's voice is like, yeah, the sweetest thing in the world. So shout out to grandma. Yeah, and anyone who, yeah, just anyone who loves me. Shout out to you.
Shout out to you. I love that. Y'all, you've been watching STORYHIVE on location Vancouver with Beats Eats.